Hello everyone and welcome back to Fractal 101. My name is Alex. Thank you so much for watching this video. Today's topic, playing without an expression pedal. Now maybe you are a brand new Fractal user on an FM3, an FM9, or an Axe FX3, or maybe you're hitting a gig and pedal board space is limited. You don't have access to an expression pedal. What do you do? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about a few different ways that you can dive in and get the most out of your unit without an expression pedal. Whether you're using a wah effect, perhaps you're using a faux TalkBox sound, or something of your own design. Let's dive into the ways that we can get around this issue and get back to playing. For our first example, we are using a control switch in lieu of an expression pedal. It really helps keep things underfoot, as opposed to anything with an external parameter. In particular, we're going to be looking at a momentary switch. So as you put your foot down, the effect engages. As you release it, it disengages. We've pulled up Let's Go Crazy, the infamous Prince song with the big outro guitar solo that is drenched in wah. Now, as you can see here, my wah is currently set up to have an expression pedal, which auto-engages at medium position. Without that, the lead sounds like this. It has all the makings of the lead with a big screaming Mesa Boogie amp and a heap of delay, but again, no wah. So what we're going to do is just reset this modifier. Hit none, back out. We're going to right-click Control again, and for our source, we are going to choose Control Switch 6, which I know is not used in here. Leaving everything stock, we will now engage the block, and hear what that sounds like. Everything stays at heel down, so we need to assign this to an FC controller button. Looking here, we are going to assign this to FC2. So we go to our FC per preset, as I constantly use in my presets. Select Control Switch. Make sure you have the corresponding control switch number correct, and make sure that the function is set to momentary. Now, when we select that button, we see that the wah engages and disengages. Now, using that control switch, it sounds like this. So the control switch is firing, but everything's shooting just a little bit too quick. In order to massage that to sound a little more human-like, we can go into the modifier, go to the damping section, and adjust the attack and release times. I'm going to start with 100 milliseconds, and that sounds like this. Pretty good, but we can increase that still. A lot more human than the 10 milliseconds going from heel to toe. This is a great way to use a momentary foot switch in order to get the most out of your wah. Now, what if we want to use a latching switch? For this example, I've pulled up the You Oughta Know preset, and what we're going to do is assign a latching foot switch to our trem block's rate control. And this is going to be sort of like a rotary or like a Leslie speaker, where as we use a latching switch, we'll bring it up and we'll bring it back down. So first thing we have to do, assign the modifier, control switch 6, yet again. Let's make this a little bit more usable. So we're going from just above 1 Hertz to just above 6 Hertz. We are currently sitting at the stock values for our attack and release. We'll get there. We are going to assign to FC3 a latching control switch. So now that everything is assigned properly, we can hear what that sounds like with our latching control switch. Now we hear that the control switch is working, but again, we need to massage the attack and release times. This time, let's mess with a little bit of higher value and go from there. Works rather nicely. You can of course adjust the slope. And you can get some pretty neat sounds that way using a latching control switch. Heading back to our Let's Go Crazy preset, we have come back to the wah, and we are now going to use an LFO, a low frequency oscillator, to control our wah control. So we go in, make sure we reset everything, go back, find LFO 1A, and auto-engage the wah. And at stock settings, that can sound like this. That could work just fine for what we're doing. This would be a great thing if you had something maybe to a click, or with a specific BPM if the wah is more of a rocking type. But as you can see, very consistent. What if we would like to adjust the LFO? We go to our controllers menu, find LFO 1 and 2, and we go to LFO 1. Now as you can see, we are set to a sine type wave. Perhaps we want this to be a little bit more randomized. That would sound like this. But just as the parameters we've adjusted before this, it needs a little bit of damping to get that real human foot quality involved. We are currently set to 10 milliseconds. Let's dive that up to 100 milliseconds. Just for fun. That seems to work pretty well. A great way to use an LFO to dial in, perhaps, your wah pedal. Our next option, using an envelope follower to engage perhaps a wah or a formant block, any other effect that you may be using, perhaps a dynaflanger. This is a great way to use your pick attack and your playing style to best engage the effect. What I've pulled up is Livin' on a Prayer, my V2 preset, which is using a faux TalkBox sound, and both the formant block and the wah control are tied to an envelope follower. This will allow me to dig in a little bit when I want a little bit more of that scooped TalkBox sound, and to play a little bit less hard when I want a little more subdued effect. Now as you can see, the harder I dig in, the more TalkBox we get. This is a really great way to have a little bit more of that human control without having to dive into so many parameters as we did with LFOs and control switches using the external sort of things. These are all compromises to having an expression pedal, but you can make all of them work to your advantage. Another way to use an envelope follower is to attach it to your favorite wah control and set this up to give you more of the auto wah thing, which can be really fun. This is great for clean sounds, different lead tones. This can be really cool and add a very human element outside of the TalkBox thing in the previous example. Another really fun way to control any of your parameters without using an expression pedal is using the sequencer controller. This is really fun, and you can get a lot of kooky, sort of out-of-the-box sounds that really yield themselves to organic, inspirational tones. So let's assign on our wah pedal in the Let's Go Crazy preset the sequencer modifier. And we're going to head to Controllers, Sequencer. This nifty little pop-up window comes in. Now at stock values, we have this set to none and this set to stop. You can set the number of stages here, which means how many of these different parameters we can jump around in. And so what we're going to do is set this to a tempo. We're going to set this to an eighth note at our current BPM of 196, rather blistering. We're going to set this to run and the number of stages at 16. So this will last for 2 whole bars. Now what you get to do is select each stage where you want that wah pedal to be. And this could be just as fun as drawing a picture. Now that you've done all that, let's hear what it sounds like. Just out of the gate, really fun. You can change that again. You could have certain parts of the frequency range be accented by the wah or whatever parameter you're using. And you can get some really cool rhythmic funky things, perhaps even a faux synth sound, just by using the sequencer attached to any of your modifier blocks. And our final example for this quick little Fractal 101 is using a pitch follower. You can use this on anything. It's really great for using on gain on amps. Maybe you want a little more delay as you go up top or reverb. But in this example, we're going to stick with the wah on our Let's Go Crazy preset. We've already adjusted everything to have the pitch follower from heel to toe and to have 100 milliseconds of attack and release. Now from low to high, that could sound like this. Now that works well. Perhaps you don't want to over accentuate the highs or the lows when you're in those registers, with the filter suite being where it is. You can change the mapping, which works really well. So perhaps we have toe down when we're in the low end and heel down when we're in the high end. That would sound like this. Now that too could work, but you're not married to extreme values. You could set these anywhere you'd like. For starting and endpoints, maybe we want a asymmetrical hump. Bring it all down a bit. Perhaps you just want something fun for a lead. This is a great way to have that slow filtering wah thing being achieved without so much of the waka waka going on. Well, that about does it for this Fractal 101 on using different parameters and effects blocks without having an expression pedal. Thank you to Don the guitar guy for putting this on my radar. I realized I had talked about this briefly in videos, but never at length. So thank you very much, Don. Always love the support. If you liked this video or this topic, there are plenty more videos on a range of topics throughout the channel, whether they're Fractal 101s, tutorials of tone, perhaps you're into gear reviews, playthroughs, lessons, etc. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time.